Good evening, Unique Couples Sunday Night Live.
Yep, and we are live, and excited because this month we are dissecting divorce, and we are all excited to hear about the ugly truth about divorce. And we know that, some people are facing that situation, some people have faced it already, and we just want to get behind the ugly truth about divorce.
We are Vito and Linda Patrick. We are international marriage coaches. And like I said earlier, we want to welcome you to Unique Couples Sunday Night Live. We have a special guest in the house, Twyla Marks, who's going to be introduced a bit later. But like Linda said, we're going to be talking on the topic, the ugly truth about divorce.
And who better to do it than Twyla Marks? She is the divorce coach. Did I get that correct?
Yeah.
Hello, Twyla. How are you?
Hello, Linda and Vito. I'm great. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be with you tonight.
Awesome. Hey, go ahead. Hashtag Live Squad. All of you who are watching. Hello, Julie. Hello, Lynn. Thanks for joining us. Kathy, it's great to see all of you. Go ahead. For those of you who are married, go ahead and put how long you've been married. Go and put that in the chat. And then those of you who have experienced divorce, let us know how long it's been since you have been divorced, or if you are now remarried. Go ahead and put that in the chat. We're collecting countries, so we want to know which country you are watching from. Yeah. So put that in the chat.
Yes, and you want to make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the Unique Couples YouTube channel. You want to make sure go ahead and click subscribe. Then you want to turn on that notification bell so you can know every time we go live here at Unique Couples. So make sure you subscribe to the Unique Couples YouTube channel. Also, you want to make sure join the Unique Couples Marriage Club. If you are not part of the Unique Couples Marriage Club, you want to be a part of the Unique Couples Marriage Club.
Oh,
you
yes.
want to take your marriage to the next level.
Next level of loving.
Yes.
Definitely.
We say you get your spouseology degree when you are a part of the Unique Couples Marriage Club. Motivation, inspiration, and transformation.
For your marriage.
Yes, we want to see marriages thrive, and we want you to take your marriage to the next level. So make sure you are a part of the Unique Couples Marriage Club.
Awesome. So today we are talking about the ugly truth about divorce. And we're so happy to have Twyla Marks here all the way from
Dallas, Texas.
Yes, Texas in the house. We love Texas.
Yes.
So Twyla, go ahead. Tell our viewing audience a little about yourself. Just let them know who you are.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm Twyla Marks. I'm an author. I'm an international radio show host, the host of Divorce Talk with Twyla. It's a live weekly radio show on Monday nights here in Dallas, Texas. And I'm also a life coach. I'm Coach Twyla, the Get Your Happy Back divorce coach. So that's who I am. And I'm also a divorcee, 14 years now. And I have I'm very passionate about helping people recover from divorce. But you know what? Don't go through a divorce. But if you do, I am passionate about helping you get your happy back.
Can you repeat that again, what you said? The Get Your Happy Back divorce coach? Did I say it correctly?
Yes. Vito, I'm Coach Twyla. I'm a certified life coach with a niche on divorce recovery. So Coach Twyla, the Get Your Happy Back divorce coach.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Get your happy back.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know we heard part of your story, and I remember when we heard it was like, yes, we have to have her on our show, because we just need our viewing audience to hear about what you went through and how you survived. So I think you had kids in the situation as well. So can you go ahead and share your story on how you found yourself to be with this broken marriage to kind of eventually be divorced?
Yeah. So my personal story, I was married for 10 years we had a blended family, and I don't assume that everyone knows what a blended family is, but he had a son. I had a daughter from a previous relationship, and then we had a son together. And we were together 10 years, but we had an already made family. So after about year 5, I really felt like something was wrong. Something was broken. Our communication, and I'm going to go through a couple of reasons that people go through a divorce, if I may, at this time. Our communication, we lacked communication. He really, really wasn't my best friend. We just happened to meet each other and got married. I know that sounds funny, but that is the truth. There wasn't a honeymoon stage or anything of that nature. We kind of just felt obligated to get married because we found out we were pregnant before marriage. And so we were together, like I said, 10 years. Every day wasn't rocky. Every day wasn't a nightmare on Elm Street, but there were rough spots throughout the course of 10 years. And so we attempted counseling. And I tell people, Linda and Vito, do all you can to keep your marriage together. Right? Yeah. Do all you can. Because marriage is work. And if someone says it's not, I don't know what they're doing. But marriage is work.
Something else. Yes. Yes.
It's work. And you really have to work at that thing. And if it requires counseling, couples counseling, or individual counseling, do that. But there was lack of communication in our marriage. And then there was issues with finances. That's another reason for divorce, causes of divorce. And it just wasn't right. And when I say it just wasn't right, I just didn't really feel happy. I felt like there was just something missing. And my kids were beginning to see the toxicity in the relationship in our home and the constant arguing. And, just it was a lot. And so, not to throw him under the bus, now we're not best friends even 14 years later, but we are parents of our adult 22-year-old son. And so my son has a great relationship with his father, and we did that intentionally. So, it's better now, and he's remarried, he's moved on, and I've gotten my happy back.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I like what you said. There are a lot of reasons, couples divorce, and you started to talk about it. And then you're also reminding our community that, hey, you have to put in the work. You have to put in the work because marriage is work. It takes work. You don't, kind of want to find yourself in a position where, you're divorced because you didn't put in the work.
Yeah.
Especially when, kids, are involved or were involved. How old were your kids when this happened?
So my kids both were minors. My daughter was 15 and my son was 9, about to be 10. And yes, they went through it a lot as well. Now, my son didn't really understand what was going on until it was over. I initiated the divorce. Okay. We moved out the house, my kids and I, while my ex-husband was away on a trip. And we moved in with a friend. My son he thought we were just going away for a weekend trip. And I was ready to explain to him. I really didn't know, Linda, how I was going to tell him because he was 9 years old. My daughter, on the other hand, she was 15. She understood it better than my son did. And they were both minors. And I did my best to try to keep a sense of normalcy as possible, because the friend that we moved in with, she lived a long way away from my kids' school district. Okay. So that required an adjustment on my part because we had to wake up so early, but I didn't want to move them. I didn't. And I look back at that now, 14 years later, and I'm glad I didn't, because they still had their friends. And like I said, some sense of normalcy, even though their family had been broken.
Yeah, so it's important that you definitely consider the kids and, what happens after, for those persons who are divorced, what happens after, and making sure. And of course, the reasons why it happened too for the divorce might kind of make it a little more difficult with, seeing the other spouse, depending on why, because we know a lot of people also experience domestic violence, and that could be an issue. So, but depending on, you know, the situation, we still need to make it as safe and kind of like as easy as possible for the kids who find themselves in the situation. So what are some of the thoughts that cross your mind, like when, you know, like when did the light bulb go off to say, okay, this needs to happen? I can't do this anymore.
Wow, that's a good question. You know, I had contemplated it, like I mentioned, at year 5, I really felt I needed to leave him. And
so hold on. So at year 5, you contemplated it, and it didn't happen until 5 years later.
5 years later. 5 years later.
It's like women usually like, well, a woman doesn't just wake up and say, "Oh, I'm gonna get a divorce."
No.
Sometimes it takes years. So she's thinking about that. She's thinking about that. So men, be on your P's and Q's. It might not be the first time you treat her wrong, but hey, it will happen. It's you know, it's kind of like a lifestyle, you know, of something of pain, of hurt, of all of these different things that will build up, and eventually it'll just be too much. So you definitely have to be mindful of that. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's perfect. You're so right. And like I said, I contemplated at year 5, went through another 5 years. And during that 5-year time span, we went to counseling. Okay. I really came to him and I just let him have it. I opened the floodgates and I said, here's what I'm dealing with. And some things need to change in the marriage, not just on your part, but my part as well, for us to have a successful, healthy marriage. And so we attended counseling for a while, and we did that, and it got better a little bit. I wouldn't say, oh, it was horrible. It did. But then it started to happen and all over again. And I said, you know what? I'm miserable, and I don't know how much longer I can stay here, even with minor children. And so I write about this in my book. I took a road trip. My kids and we went to my family member's house, actually my grandmother's home. She lives about 2 hours away from where we live. This was at year 9.5, almost 10. And I said, okay, I've got to get away in a quiet space where I can really focus and really, I'm spiritual, hear God's voice. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? I know this is not God's desire for me to be miserable and unhappy. So while we were out of town, I went away to a bookstore and I just sat there almost all day. I love to read, sat there almost all day. That's a true story. And I read books. And I just had a peace about myself. My kids were with my grandmother. Didn't have to worry about feeding them or anything. She just said, go. She knew kind of what was going on. And I came back that evening and I remember walking in the room that I stay in at her house. And I just fell out and I just started crying. Not because I was unhappy, but I felt a sense of frustration. I felt a sense of guilt because I said, Twyla, if you would have left 5 years ago, your kids would not have seen 5 years later some of the things that they've seen, right? And so I felt guilty. I did. And I don't know. I hope someone understands this. Because I'm speaking from a place of transparency and truth here. I felt guilty. And a lot of couples and people that go through divorce, that's a feeling, that's an emotion that you feel guilty because you stayed so long. Knowing in your mind, for me, I knew I should have left him at 5 years, but at year 5, but I didn't. So the process started. I left there. We went back home to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I said, I got to go. He came back. I told him, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I've got to get a divorce. I got to leave you. I can't do this anymore. It's physically killing me, emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually. And so we moved. We left.
So he just took it like that? I mean, like, what was his reaction?
No, his reaction was, no, you're kidding, right? I said, no, I can't do this anymore. he wasn't happy. No, he just said, well, what about the kids? Well, I said, the kids will be fine. They're resilient. What about the kids? What about the kids now? They're in a toxic environment, and they will think that this is okay when they get older and grown. And that's not the cycle. And that's not the example I want to leave for my children. So we're going. And he didn't believe me. We didn't leave that night. And so he left again to go out of town. And that's when I'm speaking within about 2 to 3 week time frame from the time I told him until we were moved out the house. So it was expeditiously, we were out of there.
And how did family and friends react?
Some family and friends, Vito, they weren't surprised. I guess I thought I was doing a good job of covering it up with my mask, like not physically with a mask. Now we wear masks now, but I had a mask. Yeah, I had a mask on, as in, oh, I'm so happy, but I was hurting on the inside, right? And so I thought I did a good enough job to show them I was okay. And no, they knew. They were like, wow, you're leaving. Okay, what can we do? They were supportive of me doing that. Yeah.
Okay. And what would you recommend that individuals who are contemplating marriage do before making that life-altering decision?
Oh, yeah. Before you end your marriage, please, sir, please, ma'am, and I mentioned this earlier, go to counseling, do whatever you need to do to try to mend your marriage. Because here's the thing, going through a divorce is rough, it's challenging, it's tough, and sometimes it's just downright embarrassing. And it doesn't matter who initiated it. Remember, I said I initiated the divorce.
Yeah.
You know, I moved out of a home, 4-bedroom, 2-story home. So it doesn't matter who initiated it. You still feel those emotions. And here's the thing, when you do, if that's what you decide to do, now with children especially, please do your best to have a cordial relationship with that ex-spouse or soon to be ex-spouse, because your children needs both of you. They really do. Now, being a cordial co-parent does not mean you have to be a best friend. That just means be able to talk to one another as adults. Some people think that co-parenting term means, oh, we've got to go to dinner together. We've got to go here. No, that doesn't mean that. But if that happens and you're able to do that, because some people are, that's great. But other people aren't able to do that. Just make sure that your children don't see you fighting post-divorce, because that's not help. They're already hurting because the family is broken. So they don't need that extra stress on them.
Yeah. So what about persons who aren't married yet? Like before you consider, because I know you said you were not friends and y'all kind of like just got married, So before they make that step in getting married, what would you suggest that an individual think about and before deciding to get married, so eventually you don't end up divorced?
Date, get to know one another. Get to know one another. And I like to say, see that person in all 4 seasons. How do they handle adversity? How do they handle finances? How do they handle, or are they around family? Are they a family-oriented person? Just really get to know that person. And you really don't I can't tell you a time frame, after 2 years, 3 years, or then maybe get engaged or get married. But just when you're comfortable enough that you really know that person. And if there's an issue, pump the brakes. Slow down, get some premarital counseling. And I didn't do any of those things. So that's my truth, and it's ugly. And, we just kind of got married. We met through a mutual friend. we went out a few times and we ended up pregnant. And 10 months to the date from the time we met, we were married. Not even a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love what you said. See them through all 4 seasons and not just, seasons in terms of, weather, but definitely seasons, like you said, how they deal with issues and obstacles and, see them in different places and different scenarios. Take the time to date because, you'll learn, about your,
Your significant other.
yeah,
Yeah.
before you make that decision. Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
if you find that, hey, this isn't working, like you say, pull the brakes, right? Like slow down and just decide. It's better to make that decision before you get married than to have to deal with all the ugliness after, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know you would have mentioned some of the issues, right? But can you let us know what are some of the issues that ladies and men have to face when it relates to divorce?
Mm-hmm.
What are these ugly truths?
Okay, so you're saying after a divorce has occurred?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yes. So that's true. So after a divorce has occurred, one of the things is, of course, you go through a financial recovery state because when you're married, there's 2 incomes. When you get divorced, you're down to 1. And let me speak from the female standpoint first, and then I'll go over to the male because there's child support and things of that nature involved as well. But from a female standpoint, what if the husband did all the cooking and you didn't cook? That happens. Now you're having to cook, and I know that's a simple example, but it's true. There's a huge adjustment that has to take place in your life after a divorce. And some people, it's scary. For me, it was scary for me to just know that, oh, I've got to do everything now with my kids. Got to work outside the home. I got to pick them up from school. I've got to take them to practices, band, football, whatever. It's all on you. And so that's one of the things. And then another thing after divorce occurs, you really have to work on yourself. Self-healing and self-care is so imperative. And what I tell people clients, look, if you like to take yourself to the movies, take yourself to a movie every Friday night. Just go, do it. Do something that you enjoy doing for yourself without the kids. It's okay. You don't have to involve the kids every time. But self-care, self-healing is imperative before you jump right out there in the dating space again. And I think a lot of people jump out in the dating space way too fast before going through a healing process.
They missed that step. Wow. Yeah.
Self-care. Yes, that's important.
Definitely. Hey, so important that, hey, moms out there, wives out there, even those of you, persons who are divorced, hey, you still need that. Whether you're divorced, married, single, you need to make sure you take care of yourself. Self-care is important because you have to show up whole, like for yourself first before you could show up for anyone else. Yeah. So definitely hashtag self-care in the chat.
Yeah, because you have to love yourself first before you can love someone else. So that's self-care is very important.
Yeah, definitely. So you were going to men? You were going to talk about them?
Yeah. So for men, it may be scary for them to have to pay child support. Here in Texas, can't speak for any other state, but from my experience here in Texas, it's an automatic percentage regardless of how much money they make. It's just a percentage of it, and that's what they pay. And the judge doesn't care if you're not able to pay your other bills. They don't care. And so some men may be fearful of that. How are they going to survive? Maybe they have to go get another job to be able to pay the child support. And some, I've heard stories that some men just quit, because they don't want to have to pay the child support. So it's an adjustment not only for the female, but the male as well. And I always say this as well. Divorce is painful. It's hard. but it's not the end. You can and you will start over and you will recover, but it is a process. It's a journey. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't. And I mean, from dating to all of that stuff, listen, y'all, I didn't date for about almost 3 years after my divorce. I just did not have the mental space, the emotional space, the capacity to do that. And there was some things that were going on post-divorce with my ex-husband that I didn't feel comfortable bringing in someone into my life. It would not have been fair to bring them in my life when I had drama going on. Yeah.
So there have been drama from the past interfering with your, your present and your future. Kind of like messing up those relationships. But you said some of the men quit. Like, what were you referring to when you said
some men I've heard stories from clients. Some men quit their jobs because they just don't want to pay child support or various reasons. They they just don't. They just quit their jobs, or they go get a job that's not paying as much money, and so they don't have to pay as much child support because, like I mentioned, child support is a percentage here, and that's it. So the more money you're making, the more child support you're going to pay.
Wow.
Yeah, that reasoning is something else though. Like, you quit your high-paying job to get a lower paying.
Yeah.
So you don't give us much child support. Like, it's a percentage. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I have been told some stories like that. So,
they're still your children. Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's like those, ugly stuff that you have to deal with as it relates to divorce. And like we encourage and we definitely promote unique couples. We're building stronger couples,
healthier marriages,
and happier families. We want to see marriages thrive. And so work on your marriage, be intentional about it, because you don't want to come to the point where because you didn't work, because you didn't do all that you could. But hey, you find yourself in some situations and, you're in a toxic relationship, and, we've heard of persons just, physically being abused and, so much going on. We would definitely not encourage anyone to, stay through that because separation is a thing too. You can get separated. And if you're in fear of your life, then you need to do what you need to do. So you can definitely separate. And then, of course, we've heard of success stories or miracle stories where persons who, were separated after years and kind of like didn't divorce, but remarried, and then persons who divorced and remarried the same spouse. So anything is possible, but you definitely have to work on you, work on your relationship, and trust God. Yes, definitely trust God. I don't know if you have any more ugly truths about divorce, but we're going to ask you to kind of like leave a word for all of the divorced persons out there who are struggling with kind of like getting their sense of normalcy. What would you say to them?
Oh, absolutely. What I'd say to those folks is, again, self-care, and, don't feel embarrassed. I know it's easier said than done, but divorce happens, and it happens to good people, and the thing, what I would say here is when you do find yourself in that situation, get a great support system. And it may be people that you connected to now, but people that maybe you meet some new people or other people that will encourage you when you're going through that toxic time in your life. And it's difficult. I know that. I've been there, and it was very challenging, but I had to surround myself with positive people that were going to speak life into my life and not negative things into my life. So that's one of the things I would say. And then if you find yourself in the dating game again, and it's time to introduce maybe the soon to be, the significant other, maybe the new spouse, and it's time to introduce that person to your kids, make sure they understand what's going on as well. And it's okay. It's okay because a lot of people remarry. And a lot of people remarry. Introduce that person in their environment, make it a natural thing. And that's what I would suggest. And also meet the other parent that's involved, the ex-spouse, because now you're going to be involved. This is a new family. That the ex-spouse, the dad, the mom, whatever the case may be, needs to be involved and know who their child is going to be around, right? So I'm an advocate of that. I believe in that. Don't make it a secret. Involve them into that process.
Definitely. You have to be so careful and intentional, especially when children are involved. Awesome. Love this conversation. Put those hearts in the chat.
Go ahead and put your
takeaways in the chat. Let us know. Let Twyla know. Send her some love as well. What you enjoyed, what you taken away from the conversation. Type those in the chat and let us know. And definitely take the positive, like take what is for you, take what is for you and kind of like leave the rest, eat the watermelon and spit out the seeds, right? Yes. So Twyla, we know you're the Get Your Happy Divorce coach, right? And you talk about your book as well. Let us know a little about that again, and then tell our viewing audience how they can connect with you on social media.
Absolutely. So my book is entitled The Unexpected, The Ride of My Life. It is on Amazon as well as my website, which is www.twylammarks.com. And my social media handles across Instagram and Facebook is Divorce Talk with Twyla. And my radio show is live every Monday on Fishbowl Radio Network, FBRN.US, Divorce Talk with Twyla. So if you are in that space of divorce, I'd love for you to listen in to my show. We talk all things divorce, and I have special guests on every week, and we talk about it, right? We talk about it.
Yeah, I love the part, you have to talk, right? So the talking is good. We're talking marriage, we're talking divorce, we're talking about all of the issues that concern us, and that's good. So go ahead, hit up Twyla, go and visit, check her out on Instagram as well, Facebook, check her on all of the major platforms. So connect with her. We had fun definitely today sharing and talking about the ugly truth about divorce. We don't want it to be a part of your story. If you are divorced and you find yourself in that situation, know that you can get your happy back. Connect with Twyla Marks and make sure you get your happy back.
Yes, we had fun sharing with you this evening. Once again, we want to thank Twyla for taking time out of her schedule to spend her Sunday evening with the Unique Couples community. And go ahead, show us some love. And we just want to thank her again. And like I would have said earlier, here at Unique Couples, we are building stronger couples, healthier marriages, and happier families. We love you guys. See you tomorrow.
Oh, yes. Unique Couples Marriage Club. The link is in the description. Be a part of Manage Your Marriage Mondays with Vito and Linda. And then go ahead and join us in the How to Strengthen Your Marriage Facebook group. And let's have fun building our relationships. Go ahead and subscribe and share this video. Bye.
Bye.